This is the Sony STR-DH790 7.2 surround sound home theater AV receiver, and after 6 months of daily use, I've got a pretty clear read on what it does well and where it cuts corners. I picked it up as a budget path to Dolby Atmos without packing my media cabinet with features I don't actually use, and that framing has made it a solid fit. Key features that sold me were native Dolby Atmos DTS decoding, 4K HDR pass-through with Dolby Vision, eARC on the HDMI out, and Bluetooth with AAC. It also has dual subwoofer outputs, which is great for smoothing out bass in my room. From my experience, setup is fast. I did the easy setup, plugged in the mic, and the auto calibration ran in under a minute. It got me to sound quickly, which I appreciated. But I learned pretty fast that the default calibration pushes bass hard and sometimes misreports distances, especially for the subwoofer. I got better results by setting my speakers to small, setting the crossover to 80 Hz, trimming the subwoofer level down a few dB, and correcting distances by tape measure. Once I did that, the system snapped into focus. Dialogue felt locked to the screen, surround effects were clean, and Atmos height cues actually felt like they were above me rather than just more sound. I use it in a 5.1.2 layout with ceiling speakers for the 2 height channels. The receiver has enough muscle for my medium living room with 8-ohm bookshelf fronts and a compact center. Sony's power numbers can look big on paper, but what matters is whether it feels strained. In my opinion, it doesn't. I rarely go past 15 dB on movie nights, and the sound stays clear and composed. There's no fan inside, so I made sure to give it some breathing room. It runs warm, not hot. I haven't heard hiss at idle, and it hasn't shut down on me once. On the video side, it's been dependable. I feed it an Apple TV 4K and a UHD Blu-ray player, and pass-through for HDR10 and Dolby Vision has been clean with no handshake weirdness. All 4 HDMI inputs are D.C.A.C 2.2, and there's 1 HDMI out with eARC. For newer consoles, there's a catch. This receiver tops out at HDMI 2.0B, so if you want 4K at 120 Hz or VRR, you need to run your console straight to the TV and send audio back to the receiver over eARC. That's how I do it with a PS5. Audio sync has been fine, and eARC has been stable, but it does mean one more cable path to think about. Day-to-day control is simple, but a little old school. The on-screen menu looks basic, like a plain text overlay. It works, and I appreciate that I can call up settings while a movie is playing, but some advanced options still live on the front panel display. The remote is light and feels budget, yet the buttons are laid out logically. I rely on it for quick input changes and for switching between Dolby Surround and DTS Neural X when I'm watching non-Atmos content. Those up mixers do a nice job of engaging all speakers without sounding artificial, especially with sports and TV shows that are only stereo. Bluetooth has been better than I expected. It pairs fast, it remembers my phone, and because it supports AAC, streaming from my iPhone doesn't sound smeared or dull. The Bluetooth standby feature is surprisingly useful. I can wake the receiver just by starting music on my phone. That said, this unit has zero networking. No Wi-Fi, no Ethernet, no AirPlay, no Chromecast, no built-in streaming apps. If you want Spotify Connect or lossless streaming, run it through an external streamer. The USB port on the back is power only, and there's no phono input, so if you spin vinyl, you'll need a phono preamp. The FM tuner works, but there's no AM. Physically, the size is a win. At 17 by 11.75 by 5.25 inches, it's slimmer than many receivers and actually fits in furniture that would choke a taller unit. The chassis feels sturdy enough, and the front left-right speaker terminals are proper binding posts that take banana plugs. The rest of the channels use spring clips, and that's one of my few real gripes. I could force 14-gauge wire into them, but it wasn't pleasant. I ended up using 16-gauge for surrounds and heights to make life easier. If you like using banana plugs everywhere or prefer thick cable, be ready to compromise or tin the wire ends. It's a clear cost-saving choice, and you feel it during install. As for speaker compatibility, it's rated for 616 ohms. I run 8-ohm speakers and everything has been perfectly stable. If your speakers are 4 ohms, I'd look elsewhere. With 2 subs connected, bass has been nicely even across the room. The 2 sub outputs are parallel, not independently adjustable, but that's normal at this price. Sound quality is where this thing earns its keep. With a good Atmos track, effects flow overhead with convincing placement, and the front soundstage has width and height. Dialogue is intelligible even at moderate levels, which matters more to me than raw volume. Music through the HDMI sources is clean. High-res audio over HDMI works, though I mostly stream via an external device, so I can't claim it's a high-end music rig. In my opinion, it's perfect for movie nights in a small to medium room, and for folks who prioritize a clear, punchy presentation without chasing advanced room correction or network features. A few quirks I've run into. Sometimes the receiver remembers the last sound mode in a way that confuses casual users, so I mapped a quick way to toggle sound fields. The display labeling is small from across the room, so I lean on my TV's overlay to confirm what format I'm getting. Firmware updates aren't automatic because there's no network, but I haven't needed an update. It's been stable as is. From my experience, the biggest mindset shift is accepting that this is a pure receiver. It does amplification, decoding, and HDMI switching well, and that's the promise. It doesn't try to be a streaming hub or a smart home center, and that's fine if you plan your system around external sources. If you want everything baked in, you'll feel the limits. If you just want clean Atmos and rock-solid 4K HDR pass-through, it delivers. I'd recommend this for anyone stepping up from an older non-Atmos setup, especially if you already own a streaming box and you don't need more than 4 HDMI inputs. It's also a nice fit if your cabinet height is tight and you still want a full 7.2 channel receiver. If you're a serious gamer chasing 4K 120 and VRR through the receiver, or you demand advanced room correction with multi-point measurements, look at a different tier. In conclusion, the Sony STR-DH790 hits its target. It gives you immersive audio and reliable 4K HDR video in a compact, affordable package. And once you touch up the calibration, it sounds far better than its price suggests. The trade-offs are real. No network features, spring clips on most channels, a plain interface, but they're easy to live with if you build your system around its strengths. In my opinion, as a budget Atmos brain for a movie-first living room, it earns its spot. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe to the channel and leave a comment with your questions or your own experience with this receiver. Thank you for watching.